Hello, Mountain View Bible Camp family. Welcome again to Mountaintop Advent Series as we continue to read the book Love Came Down at Christmas by Sinclair B. Ferguson. Today, chapter 10. Throw yourself in. Love does not insist on its own way. 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 and 5. In our culture, we are obsessed with one thing, ourselves. In the absence of all transcendent significance to life, creating, loving, and fulfilling the self fills the vacuum. Youngsters are taught from a very early age, often in schools, to trust in themselves, to know that they are princesses and princes, and to be assured that they can do anything to which they set their minds. It is perhaps not surprising that in an age when secular scientists insist we are exclusively material beings and tell us that there is no self other than our biological functions, the longing to find a self has taken on epidemic proportions. People can self-identify as this or that. Thus, self-directing love is seen as the fundamental birthright, even while our governments take it upon themselves to decide when there is a self who has the right to birth. The problem, as Augustine saw so clearly, is that amour sunu, self-directed love, leads to personal and social disaster whenever it is served from amour Dei, God-directed love. Of course, there is a proper love of self. Jesus said we should love our neighbor as ourselves. So, the implication is that we will love the latter too. But why is that not the same as self-love? Because it isn't self-directed love. Instead, it is rooted in realizing that since we are made as the image of God, we should treat His image with respect and care. And we should do the same to others, who likewise are the image of God. The secular humanist who denies that humans were created as the image of God, thus make man out to be far less than he is seen to be in Christian teaching. In fact, Christians are the higher humanists. Secularists, by comparison, are dehumanists and reduce the dignity of man. Yet, despite it all, men and women remain in the image of God, and inevitably, they thirst for significance, although they cannot explain why. So long as this is the case, Augustine's most famous words remain true. God has made us for Himself. We are His image, and our hearts are therefore restless until they find their rest in Him. But, left to ourselves, all we have is ourselves. Indeed, as some secularists have had the courage to say, in this worldview, there simply is no meaning to life. There are no answers to what have always been thought to be the ultimate question. Why is there something and not nothing? Who am I? What is the purpose of life? What is my destiny? If we have to invent our own answers to these questions, it is hardly surprising that amour sunu is promoted so vigorously. Yet, the questions cannot be suppressed, even when we repress them. Is there no answer to them? Perhaps Lily and Jane Wagner's play, The Search for Intelligent Life in the Universe, is right when she says, I worry tonight fits into the cosmic scheme of things. And then she adds, I worry there is no cosmic scheme of things. Christmas says there is a cosmic scheme of things. God made us in His image to reflect His glory. We have sinned and fallen short of that glory. But the Son of God, who is the very image of God, was sent by God and came in love to restore his image. Through faith in him, we discover that our lives fit into the cosmic scheme of things. He recreates in us a love for himself and restores us to fellowship with himself, which transforms self-directed love into love of our neighbors. That is the destiny for which we were created. In this way, the birth of Christ leads to our rebirth. That new birth sets us free from the tyranny of the project of the self. In Christ, we enter a new creation, where life begins to make ultimate sense. And since we have found our true identity in Christ, we are no longer left to our own devices to try to discover who we really are. Here is a neat little summary of what happened at the first Christmas from the early fathers of the Christian church. Christ became what he was not in order that we might become what we were not. In order to fill us, the Son of God emptied himself. And in order to give us life, the Son of God became obedient to death, even death on a cross. And when we trust him, we too die to self and begin to live for him and for others. For he died that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him, and for their sakes died and was raised. This, says Paul, takes place when the love of Christ controls us. The incarnation of the Son of God was a radical event, and the gospel is a radical message. Jesus said that the discovery of self always involves losing or denying self. And what does denying oneself look like? Often it looks like not insisting on our own way when we could, and instead laying down our preferences for the sake of others. Sometimes that means that we won't insist on celebrating Christmas with that particular part of the family, or in this particular way, or with those particular traditions. We won't insist that we're too tired to help with the washing up. Instead, we will choose to love, and love does not insist on its own way. In George MacDonald's fancy tale, The Golden Key, one of the characters, Tangle, meets the old man of the earth, who gives her further directions in her life quest. The old man of the earth stooped over the floor of the cave, raised a huge stone from it, and left it leaning. It disclosed a great hole that went plumb down. That is the way, he said, but there is no stairs. You must throw yourself in. There is no other way. The discovery of who we were created to be takes place the same way. There are no stairs. You need to throw yourself into the love of Christ. It is an all or nothing thing. In trusting him, you will lose your life, but at the same time, you will find it. You must die to self to find yourself, and then you will be set free from the self-love that has crippled you all your life. But you must first throw yourself in. There's no other way. Jesus said, there is only one way to the Father, himself. And the fact that he came down at Christmas means that you can throw yourself into loving selflessly today. For love came down at Christmas. I want to take a moment to thank you for reading along with us today from the book Love Came Down at Christmas. We would like to thank the Good Book Company for graciously allowing us to share this book in its entirety with our followers from camp. To purchase a copy of this book for yourself or for a loved one, please go to thegoodbook.com or Amazon. The links can be found in the description of these readings that we are sharing with you. If you enjoy this book and want to learn more about the author or further publishings, please like or follow the Good Book Company on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We trust you have a safe, joyful, and wonderful holiday season.